you pray with us? God, here we are again, gathered on the sacred ground for the 6th year. 6, we understand, symbolizes imperfection. We're here because we live in an imperfect world where lives are senselessly taken by gun violence far too often. Today we come to grieve and acknowledge that grief never ends, because grief really is just love with no place to go. Our love for our family members and friends who are part of the 49 Angels lingers and will remain permanently. We come today, God, to remember them. They are incredible people full of hope. Help us carry their hopes on through us. We come today, God, to comfort those who mourn, to weep with those who weep, and to love those whose loved ones are not here. We come today, God, to honor their lives with action. We will not allow hate to win. We owe it to them, so we keep fighting for a world they'd be proud to live. Help us, oh God, to be the change we wish to see. And remind us when we forget that though hate often tries, love wins. Love always wins. May it be so, and it is.
Oremos. Dios, que nos ama y nos acepta por completo por lo que somos, venimos a ti hoy y te pedimos que bendiga nuestra reunión mientras nos reunimos una vez más para recordar la tragedia de la masacre de Paus. Este año, mientras somos testigos de más tiroteos en todo el país, oramos por tu paz. Mientras recordamos a las víctimas de la tragedia de Paus y sus familias, oramos por su sanación. Mientras apoyamos a los sobrevivientes y el trauma con el que han vivido, oramos por su bendición. Que este año de unidad nos recuerde que somos un solo pueblo bajo tu amor. Estamos llamados a la justicia, a apoyar a nuestras familias transgénero. Oramos por nuestra comunidad LGBTQ. Que en estos días nos bendigas y nos protejas. Oramos por nuestros aliados para que los animes y los fortalezas. Que honoramos hoy amándonos unos a otros y recordando la vida de aquellos que ya no están con nosotros. En su nombre oramos. Amén.
Good evening. I'm proud to introduce our first performance by Cece Tennille. Born in Osteen, just outside of Orlando, Cece is blessed with a powerful voice that is full of soul and resonance. She has traveled to more than 40 countries with her talent and is an award-winning songstress in her own right. In 2016, she produced Portrait of a Queen, a tribute to Aretha Franklin, and recorded an album which aligns with the show. Cece is with us tonight to bring us a very special version of Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Don't trouble the water. Leave it alone. Why don't you let it be? Still water runs deep. Yes, it do. Oh, yeah. When you're down and out, when you're on the streets, when evening falls so high, I will come for you. I'll take your part. troubled water, I will lay me down just like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down. Ooh, hey, lay me down. Sail on, silver girl. Sail on by. Your time has come to shine, and all of your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. Oh, and if you ever need a friend, look around, I'm sailing on the side, just like a bridge over troubled water. Yes, I will lay me down, just like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down. Don't trouble the water. Said I wouldn't. Leave it alone. Why don't you let it be? Ooh, still water runs deep. Yes, it do now. Yes, it do. Yes, I'm gonna be your bridge. Don't trouble the water. Said I wouldn't trouble the water. Why don't you let it be? If you only believe, water runs deep. Said I wouldn't trouble. Yes, it do. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna be your bridge. Yeah. Don't trouble the water. Don't mean to trouble the water. Why don't you let it be? Hey, still water runs deep. Yes, it do. Oh, yeah. Don't trouble the water. Leave it alone. Why don't you let it be? Still water runs deep. Yes, it do. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much.
Hello, and thank you for joining us tonight at the Pulse Inter-Memorial 6-year annual Remembrance Ceremony. I am Earl Crittenden, Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the One Pulse Foundation, and we are thankful to be with you here this evening, both in person and virtually, if you're at home. We stand here tonight on land that is the part of the future site of the National Pulse Memorial, that will be a place of sanctuary, a resting place for the memories of our 49 angels, and for Pulse and what it meant. I want to welcome and recognize the families of our 49 angels, our Pulse survivors, first responders, and everyone affected by the Pulse nightclub tragedy. Please join me in welcoming our elected officials and appointed officials. Please hold any applause until all the names have been read. Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer, City Police Chief Orlando Rodon, incoming City of Orlando Police Chief Eric Smith, interim City of Fire Chief Craig, Orange County Commissioner Nicole Wilson, Orange County Commissioner Phil Diamond, Orange County Sheriff John Mina, State of Florida Commissioner of Agriculture, Nikki Freed, Representative Anna Escamani, Representative Carlos Guillermo Smith, Representative Geraldine Thompson, Representative Goy Marcel, Orange County School Chairwoman Teresa Jacobs, Orange County School Board Member Karen Castor Dental. Did I miss anyone? If so, please stand up. Tell us your name. Thank you. Mr. Soto, Congressman Soto, I'm sorry. Thank you for all that you do. We really, really appreciate it. I'd like to recognize the members of the One Pulse Foundation Board of Trustees, our board committees, scholarship committee, and community task force who are also here with us tonight. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. I want to say thank you to the many community-based events that happened, organizations in Central Florida that put on events for programming this week in honor of Remembrance. It's quite fantastic. And finally, tonight's Remembrance ceremony is made possible in part by the following partners. Please join me in thanking City Furniture, Curaleaf, Walt Disney World Resort. Thank you guys, very generous. One Pulse Foundation was created to establish a sanctuary of healing and an inspiration of hope by memorializing the lives taken, the lives saved, and all lives affected by the Pulse tragedy, ensuring ensuring that Pulse's legacy of love will continue on. Our mission is to create and support a memorial that opens hearts, a museum that opens minds, educational programs that open eyes, and legacy scholarships that open doors. Our goal with our educational programming is to celebrate how we're more alike than we are different. We do this through courageous conversations, film screenings, presentations, and trainings that promote acceptance and inclusion for disenfranchised communities. On Friday and Saturday of this week, we welcome people from all over the world to join us for our first International Culture of Remembrance Symposium in collaboration with Cultural Vistas. This symposium brings together leading international scholars and experts in a memorial culture to provide, enrich, and showcase progress, innovation, trends, and achievements in memorial culture, turning thought into action, which is really important. Many of our presenters are actually here with us today, and we thank them for staying an extra day so they could come and participate with us in this ceremony. Just a few weeks ago, we announced the third class of 49 recipients of our annual Legacy Scholarships that honor our 49 angels and awarded them $328,000 in scholarships to be used for this coming year. Since 2020, a total of $897,000 has been awarded to the three class of participants. Working with families and loved ones of those killed, One Pulse Foundation establishes scholarships based on the respective victims' interests, careers, or aspirations. As an extension of their impact on our world, the scholarships will empower students who share similar dreams, ambitions, and goals. Preference was given to applicants who are immediate family members of the 49 victims, as well as the survivors of the tragedy and responders on the first scene. 3 family members, 2 survivors, 2 responders, and 15 legacy scholarships from the previous 2 classes were part of this year's award. The third class represents incoming freshmen majoring in business, communications, and the performing arts, as well as cosmetology, nursing, medical, and master's students. The recipients come from all over the United States and have a common thread of community service, leadership, and advocacy. People often ask us what drives us in fulfilling our 4 pillars. This tragedy is part of the community's history, our nation's history, and world history. People want to pay respect, people want to learn, they want to know what happened here, and they should. We don't want it forgotten or erased for future generations. We are here today to stand with the families of those whose lives were tragically taken, to honor everyone who survived and the first brave responders who sacrificed so much to save so many. We come together as a symbol of strength and solidarity in the face of tragedy, forever proving that we will not let hate win, and that is the power of unity. Thank you. Sean Welcome is the City of Orlando's official storyteller and our second poet laureate. He's a longtime Orlando resident, a UCF graduate, and is highly involved in the Orlando community, including facilitating poetic expressions through Diverse Word, a weekly poetry night he launched that features literary artists locally. Sean is with us tonight to read his original poem called Sunday Mornings.
Favorite meals smell like laughter from the voice boxes of children on seesaws, yet flavorless at memorial services. The same seasoning that arouses salivation breeds cottonmouth when grief permeates the fog, the great paradox of a Sunday morning. The joy of 49 singing, I'll fly away, oh glory. In unison, the unity of a city sits on the shoulders of a nightclub. Stained with love and courage, the color of red, the comfort of a light rain, the constant outpouring of support, lines to give wrapped around this region like a night train. New oranges grew back in Orlando that day. The hope of citrus more sweet than bitter will never erase the flushing feeling of that first phone call after, but aftermaths always seem to have one yellow canary finding its way out of a cave. Chaos crawled its way into a cocoon and came out as compassion with wings stretched wide as the sun. Sunday mornings remind me of video games. Mario Kart on Nintendo 64 to be exact. Hitting my brother with the green shell to be precise. Memories of these slice of life moments keeps us in the race. And ain't we all a human race? Ain't music in all of its forms make anybody feel some kind of way? When the beat drops, when the blue strobe light brushes the face, when Brother Bob say one good thing about music, when it hits, you feel no pain. We rise slowly like the smoke from incense. The scent of indigo in a clean house. And indigo ain't nothing but a love child of blue and purple. Ain't we all just common folk using fancy words, creating the world we want to see and taste like our favorite meals? What more can I say in a poem that the city hasn't already shown? Beyond unity on the lawns, the long and short of our story is Orlando strong. Love conquers all, and strength may look like gentleness in one's tone, an ear for those feeling alone, a comforting poem or a song or some other art form unknown, because emotions are abstract as thoughts. Acceptance is best learned when taught. We ought bathe ourselves with understanding daily and floss. Y no me importa lo que piensan los demás. Our voices across languages sound the same to the ears of God. Enjoy your favorite meals while fond memories permeate the fog. Humanity we share. An honor to be here in the presence of passionate hope. I can feel it in the air. Thank you.
I see Senator Linda Stewart, and I apologize, I didn't see you earlier. Welcome. It is my sincere pleasure to introduce Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer this evening. Orlando Mayor Buddy Dyer helped our community unite and heal following the Pulse tragedy and vowed that Orlando would not be defined by one hateful act, but instead by responding with love and compassion. That unity was on display in the hours, weeks, and months after the tragedy, when residents waited hours to donate blood at vigils and memorials as millions of dollars were raised to support the victims' families and survivors through the One Orlando Fund. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Buddy Dyer.
Thank you, Earl. Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be with you this evening. Isn't Sean Welcome great? He always comes up with just the right thing. So tonight is all about honoring the 49 angels that were taken too soon, recognizing the resilience of the survivors and the victims' families, and showing our appreciation to the first responders and the medical staff that responded that evening. It's also a day to showcase our community's unity. 6 years ago today, our community experienced the worst day a community could experience. And I've had an opportunity since then to study the way communities respond. And usually to an event of that sort, they respond with either fear or hatred. Fear of the unknown and hatred of whoever committed the act. But I'm so proud of our community because we didn't respond with either one of those emotions. We responded differently. We responded with love, we responded with compassion, and yes, we responded with unity. And as Earl said, in the days, weeks, and months after the Pulse tragedy, you could see that unity. The first day with people lined 3 times around blood banks to give blood or bring food and water to first responders and to people that were still working out on Orange Avenue. More than 50,000 of us gathered at Lake Eola 1 week later, and so many people supported the One Orlando Fund, $30 million to the victims' families and to the survivors. We showed the world we were Orlando United, and we are Orlando United. And it wasn't a slogan. It's real. You feel it? It's real. And 6 years later, I think Orlando United has become a true part of our community. Thanks to the partnerships in our community, we've come together to provide culturally competent support to those who were directly impacted by the tragedy. And our unity has allowed us to confront challenges, like how we protected each other during COVID. I'm proud of our community and how we responded to that as well, heeding the medical advice. And because of our unity, we've been able to take a stand against dangerous political rhetoric, hateful policies, hateful legislation, hateful vetoes in the last week, and limiting our civil rights. And that happens in Tallahassee every time the legislature comes together. Those target our same communities disproportionately impacted by the Pulse tragedy, our LGBTQ plus community, our Latinx community, our black community, and other communities of color. And that's why it's critical that we remain united and continue to grow. And it's why it's important that we reaffirm the commitment to making Orlando a welcoming place for every single individual that wants to come and live here. To the survivors and the victims' families, we are united in our support for you and will remain united to ensure that hate will never win. Thank you.
It's my honor to introduce Orange County Mayor Jerry L. Dimmings tonight, who is joining us via video message. Jerry L. Dimmings is the first African-American mayor of Orange County after becoming Orlando's first African-American police chief and the first African-American Orange County sheriff. Always a trailblazer, Mayor Dimmings says that his goal is to make Orange County the experimental prototype community of tomorrow, creating a community culture of innovation, collaboration, and inclusiveness. We can always count on Mayor Dimmings to lead us in good times and in bad. He was instrumental in providing leadership during and after the Pulse tragedy. Please join me in welcoming Orange County Mayor Jerry L. Dimmings.
Good evening. Buenos tardes a todos. I'm Orange County Mayor Jerry Dimmings. I have the honor of serving as the 5th elected mayor of Orange County, where we are working to create a culture of inclusion, celebrating and uplifting all people, including our LGBTQ plus residents, businesses, and guests. Tonight, we gather as one community, one people, and one beating pulse to honor the legacy of the 49 angels, their families, and the survivors. Each year, when we remember the morning of June 12, 2016, it reminds us of the pain and frustration that was felt around the world. I will never forget the looks in the eyes of the first responders and survivors that morning while responding as the sheriff of Orange County. However, that day also reminds us of how our community responded and stood united against terrorism and bigotry. For those experiencing emotional stress or fatigue, during this time I urge you to reach out to our community partners who provide safe spaces and mental health resources. And it should go without saying, check on your friends during this time. Remember, you are not alone. During these past 6 years, the healing journey for many individuals has been painful, but it has also been filled with love and unity. The same unity displayed by courageous civilians and first responders working together to bring the wounded to the hospital. The same unity displayed by doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals as they comforted families and friends. The same unity displayed by complete strangers who lined up for hours to donate blood and supplies. The same unity displayed by neighbors sharing space on the lawns of Lake Eola and the Dr. Phillips Center to pay tribute to our angels. And the same unity that is on display now. You, our community, declaring to the world once again, we will not let hate win. No dejaremos que el odio gane. This evening, I would like to say thank you to the One Pulse Foundation, the countless community organizations, each person in attendance, and those watching from home for empowering our community each day. Thank you, and have a safe evening.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Brown Butler, a member of the One Pulse Foundation Executive Committee and Board of Trustees, and a Senior Vice President with Bank of America. I am honored to introduce our next speaker, Amanda Growl. Amanda is a Pulse survivor, and you are about to hear her incredible story of resiliency. I also want you to know that she is a 49 Legacy Scholarship recipient from our inaugural class of recipients. Our 49 Legacy Scholarships are based on the 49 Angels' interests, careers, and aspirations, and they inspire and empower undergraduate and graduate students from all over the United States who share similar dreams, ambitions, and goals. These recipients all share a common thread of community service, leadership, and advocacy. Please join me in welcoming Amanda.
Hello and good evening. My name is Amanda Growl, and I am a Pulse survivor. I am also a recipient of a 49 Legacy Scholarship in the inaugural class. I am a daughter, a sister, a wife, and a mother of 2 children. Like in many other survivors, I fought to live, and that journey towards healing is different from all of us. For me, I knew that I had to survive to make it back to my family. I was shot 4 times on the morning of June 12th, 6 years ago today. I knew that my healing process was going to be challenging and extensive. I spent a month in the hospital and a year in physical therapy to learn how to walk and use my right arm again. It took months in counseling to improve my mental health, which I am still in the healing process as I stand before you today. For almost a year after the shooting, I didn't want to go anywhere or see anybody. But my mom and my family told me, you can't live a life in fear. It made me realize that if I stayed inside all of the time, afraid, then it was like I hadn't truly survived at all. 2 of the biggest lessons that I have learned from my experience are, you can't live in fear, and you can't take life for granted. My family will also tell you that I have always had a competitive spirit. I tried to never give up in all parts of my life. Never was the spirit tested so much than through this experience. Here's the interesting part, though. The tragedy that changed my life also pushed me into my life passion. I knew that I wanted to save people like the paramedics and EMTs who saved me. I intended to keep that promise. I wanted to put a light at the end of that tunnel. This was my dream, and I kept reminding myself through these life challenges that I had already survived the hardest part. I have worked as a nurse technician for 16 years, and I'm now an EMT, a graduate of Tampa Fire Rescue Training. And all while working long days, I was able to attend a paramedic school because of my scholarship from One Pulse Foundation. My scholarship was a fire science scholarship in honor of Corey James Connell, who was an inspired firefighter. I am exactly proud to continue Corey's legacy. I am here tonight because I want to make sure that we continue to honor the 49 angels, and to their families I say, their lives matter, and their stories need to continue to be told. I send you all much love and prayers for comfort and peace. I also want to honor my fellow survivors. All of us are experiencing different long life journeys toward our healing. I hope that we can all have the capacity to recover from difficulties, confidence in ourselves, and our ability, strength to overcome any obstacles that we face both mentally and physically, in connection with others to help us get through this journey. Please remember that we are never alone. I want to honor the first responders and trauma teams. Thank you for dedicating your lives daily to help others. Thank you for your spirit of selflessness and your service and sacrifice to keep our communities safe. And finally, I want to thank my mom, Elaine, my dad, Raymond, my brother, Philip, my wife, Jasmine, and our 2 children, Alejandro and Alexia, and my dear friends for reminding me to never give up. I am grateful for you, and I love you. To our beautiful angels and my dear friend, Persepolis, we love you and miss you. Keep on dancing. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda, for your bravery to share your story with everyone in the crowd today and with other survivors and families. My name is Barbara Poma, and I'm the owner of the nightclub and founder of the One Pulse Foundation. It's hard to follow you, Amanda. We are here tonight to honor the 49 angels and their families and pay tribute to the survivors, the brave first responders, and everyone impacted by the Pulse tragedy. Pulse Nightclub, which was established in 2004, was embraced by the global LGBTQ+IA community for the club's culture of love and providing a safe space where everyone could be themselves and be proud to bring their families. The story of Pulse is the story of all of us. A diverse community drawn to an exuberant gay club in Orlando. It was family, home, joy, belonging, and so much more. It was friendship, compassion, bravery, and love. It was a place where you could just be yourself and no one would judge you. We wanted everyone to see themselves represented in there in everything we did. It's the story of how each of us is shaped by experiences of belonging, of being part of this family, a community, a group that had real meaning to us. It's the story of celebrating our shared humanity instead of focusing on our differences. It is the story of how each of us navigates the opportunities and the obstacles, the defeats and the victories that shape a lifelong journey of becoming our fullest selves. A single human story, one shared pulse with 8 billion individual variations. Pulse is also the story of a violent attack that left everyone changed forever. It is the largest loss of life in a terrorist attack on American soil since 9/11. It was the largest attack on the LGBTQ+ community in history. 47 of the 49 people were killed were people of color. They were gay, they were straight, they were Latin, they were black, and they were white. They were mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, daughters, and sons. It is a trauma that has resonated around the world. And trauma splits our country into factions. Again and again we see it. You see how it divided we are today. The polarization has split families and friendships in our humanity. It has stifled conversations, and some people seem to forget that old adage that we can agree to disagree and still respect one another. We all have to do our part to find our way back to the middle, to civil conversations. It is okay to disagree, but it is not okay to hurt each other and destroy lives. After the Pulse tragedy, Orlando made a different choice, and the world joined us. Orlando chose love. Orlando chose hope. Orlando chose acceptance. Orlando chose courage. Orlando chose strength. And above all, Orlando chose unity. These 6 words came from you, from our community, when you were asked how you want to feel when you were here at this memorial. Orlando chose to honor the victims, survivors, and first responders by celebrating love and life. I want to recognize and thank the countless numbers of organizations and individuals who came together in remembrance and unity. Tonight, and every day, I'm also reminded of the global response of unity seen in the weeks and months that followed the tragedy. It's a tribute to the ideals that our community and the One Pulse hold dear. But our work is far from over. This year, mass shootings and attacks on disenfranchised communities continue all too often in our neighborhoods and around the nation. These senseless acts of violence that cause communities to experience trauma and devastation must end. We often hear people say, "I can't make a difference. I don't know what to do to create change. It all seems so hopeless. I don't even know where to start." But we are here to say this very clearly and very purposefully tonight. The potential for transformation is in each of us. We must ask ourselves this question: who do we as individuals and a society want to become? We can widen the circle of belonging so no one feels othered or less valued and less respected. We can seek out and welcome and connect to others we notice are struggling to find a place to belong. Sometimes it is those who feel alone, abandoned, misunderstood, and different who are preyed upon into finding connections to hate groups. Together, we can create this change with the individuals and groups and entire communities. We can keep choosing love over hate and change hearts and minds. Together, we are stronger. This is the power of unity. We are all connected to one another. We are all one pulse. Thank you.
Barbara. I would also like to recognize that we have Orange County City Commissioner Bakari Burns here. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. When Chasten Buttigieg came out to his family and friends as a teenager in northern Michigan, he was convinced the only option was running away. While couch surfing for housing and working multiple jobs, he pushed through community college, finding strength in friendships along with renewed relationship with his parents, who demonstrated that people who love you most can grow alongside you. He went on to graduate from the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire, and he holds a master's degree in education from DePaul University. During the 2020 presidential election, he became well known as an outspoken advocate for arts education, mental health, and LGBTQ rights. He's a former middle school teacher, a New York Times best-selling author, and most recently, a father to 2 infant twins, Joseph and Penelope. He lives in Washington, D.C. and Michigan with his husband, Pete. Please join me in welcoming Chasten Buttigieg.
Thank you for inviting me into your community and allowing me to honor the lives of your friends and family with you this evening. What an honor it is to be with you, truly. I must be honest, when I was invited to speak this evening, I immediately said yes because I have held you and your community so close to my heart for the last 6 years. And then I started sitting at the computer trying to find the words to say to you. And for weeks, I stared at a blank cursor. I may have felt that way because even 6 years later, no words can match the enormity of your loss or the meaning of what happened at Pulse. But maybe trying to find the perfect words to match what happened is besides the point. Maybe the point, or part of the point, is the community that now exists in honor of those lives who were taken, and the work of that community to continue in a struggle that we are being reminded again and again will be the struggle of a lifetime. 6 years ago, I didn't know your names. I didn't know your stories. And yet today, I can tell you I have carried you with me every day. I have cried for you. I have grieved for you. I have prayed for you. And I have never forgotten you. But what do you say to the families who have suffered unthinkable loss? What do you say to the friends whose worlds were torn apart as their best friends were ripped from them on a dance floor? And what do you say in this moment in our nation when too many of the people we depend on to lead with love and compassion and wisdom and judgment continue instead to divide rather than deliver? Continue to single out the vulnerable in order to gain power. The loss you have incurred is unfathomable, and the frustration and anger you must feel as our community continues to let us down, as our country continues to let us down over and over and over again on gun violence is shared. And yet there is no denying the amazing and positive things that have also happened in the years since that terrible night, including the incredible community that you have created, a kind of family, a family that I have been blessed to have met throughout the last few years, a family that has inspired other families across this country. Even though we all don't know one another, and for many of us this evening is our first time meeting, I do feel as if we have known one another for some time. Because when you belong to the LGBTQ community, or you are an ally of the community, you know a thing or two about the term chosen family. And you know how important that term is to those who found their family at places like Pulse. Even for our allies, who are also among those taken from us that night, the sense of community and love and belonging found within spaces like Pulse were the foundation and the reinforcement of meaningful, lifelong friendships. For some in the LGBTQ community, it is not uncommon to walk away from the only community that you have ever known, or even from family, simply because you were made to feel you didn't belong there. And maybe not only were you made to feel that something about you was wrong, but sometimes you were made to feel that you weren't even worthy of love or acceptance or community. That is certainly how I felt when I ran away from home after coming out the summer I graduated high school. And we have not yet reached that day when that story is no longer common. The LGBTQ community has and continues to be shunned, ostracized, blamed, harassed, and scapegoated. And I know you don't have to look too far in Florida for examples. Sometimes those we love in this community are forced to flee the only stability they have ever known simply because there is no other option. And sometimes, as we know, they don't even get a chance to see the world on the other side of those struggles. For many of us who made that trip into the unknown, every moment that follows feels like a jigsaw puzzle. Each day is full of rough edges and mismatched pieces as you try to put yourself back together. You see, when you grow up being taught that something about you is inherently wrong, you start to question everything about yourself. And when you finally get away from what made you run, if you get away from what made you run, you look in the mirror and you start to wonder which parts of you are real and which ones you created just to satisfy the world around you. And after we ran, we sought out spaces and community that made us feel whole, made us feel free, made us feel, even if only for a few hours, that the ground we danced on and the air that we breathed was created for us and only us. We came alive within spaces like Pulse. We made friends, found family, and danced until pain was numb and the memories of a past life were pushed to the back of our minds. Sometimes the sense of self we built in spaces like Pulse was so powerful that it gave us ways to return to our original communities or families on new terms, like mine. For others, spaces like Pulse introduced us to strangers who accepted us so completely that we had a sense of family the moment we stepped in. Gay, straight, trans, no matter your identity. What made the loss at Pulse so visceral for so many of us, even those of us who did not have the fortune of knowing the 49 lives who were taken that night, was that so many of us found our families, our best friends, and sometimes even our lives again because of the space that was created on similar dance floors. And now as we reflect on 6 years, we ask ourselves, what do we do now? Where do we go from here? We made a commitment 6 years ago to honor their lives with action. But what do you do when so many in countless cities across the country refuse to lift a finger? What do you do? What do you do when hope feels lost? When you're frozen in questions? Well, look around you. Go ahead, look around you right now. You may see faces of those you've known for years, or people you haven't yet met. Family members who loved their children completely. Co-workers whose lives were brightened for the better because of the angel that they knew. This isn't just a crowd full of people. It's a community. It is a family. It is a symbol of love and acceptance. It is light in the darkness. And it is making the world a better place, even if all the sharp and painful broken things aren't going to be fixed overnight. And we are here to keep this family, this community, and build it. That's work. It's good work. And there's a lot of that work ahead of us. I know that work can feel heavy, but this community will not let you carry it alone. And then there's the work we will all go back out of this place and do, one at a time as individuals. And the question is, will we do it differently because we came here today? We all have to figure out what it means to live up to the spirit of this community, the amazing community of survivors we honor today, and the wider community of your supporters and allies that I am proud to be a part of. And to me, at least, a big part of doing that work is to live your life to the fullest extent possible as your fearless, beautiful, unique, and full self. I refuse to shy away from my pride as a gay man, a loving husband, a father, and as a vocal ally to those in our wider LGBTQ+ community whose experiences and realities are much different than mine. Knowing what it took for each of the people at Pulse that night to be who they were, to find their whole selves, it seems to me that any of us can honor them by showing up each day as our own complete selves, ready to love and give and push forward when those around us would seek to push us backward. And reach out and pull up those who feel they can't make it alone. One at a time, out in the world, we can make every place we walk into the kind of place that builds community, builds family. And whenever we come together, like we are right now, we get to see what the spirit of that family and that community looks like. So let's honor them by creating the world that was sought within the walls of Pulse, within whatever walls each of us works and lives in. Make every space you occupy full of love and life and spirit of togetherness that those who danced on this floor sought out. I promise to do that with you any way I know how. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Patience Murray, and a Pulse survivor to champion. Despite the horror I experienced that night, being shot twice and held hostage for 3 hours, still having a metal rod in my leg to this day, I don't consider myself a victim, because that implies I'm still broken. I am not a survivor. That implies I'm barely getting by the best I can. I'm a champion because I faced extreme challenges and succeeded. Thank you. All of us here today are champions, including the family of Akira Murray, who's being led by her parents, Natalie and Albert Murray. All of us here today are champions, and I'm humbled to be here this evening to introduce the reading of the names. And honestly, before I get into it, I know how hard it is to fight back from a dark, dark place. And the only way, the only road to resilience, I'm telling you, it's practicing gratitude. And even though it may be hard on a day like today to find light and see the good in it, I'm telling you, if you want your mental health, if you want your spiritual health, if you want to have any hope at life at all, you have to force yourself to see the good and then force yourself to be the good in this world. And I also want to thank the following family members and representatives for taking part in this important moment of reflection and remembrance. Brian Alvier, Diana Ayala, Mariana Bebe, Damaris Benitez, Carmen Capo, Miriam Velasquez, Andrea Drayton, Rosetta Evans, Alvin Mendez, Edwin Perez, Evelyn Rivera, Ciscali and Noelia Santiago Leon, Kimberly Vielma, and Maria J. Wright. And now, the reading of the 49 names.
Gilberto Silva Menéndez,
Divided we fall.
Joel Rayon Paniagua.
Our hearts have longed to believe.
And my brother Luis Sergio Bielma.
In a world so cold.
Oscar Ambioris Aracena Montero.
Our strength deep.
Simón Adrián Carillo Fernández. Y mi cuñado Rodolfo Ayala Ayala.
Without you, we need
Frank Hernandez, Javier Jorge Reyes, Christopher Joseph Sanfeliz, and my beloved stepson Stanley Almodovar III, known as Stanley.
We are one voice that speaks the sound we sing, one dream.
Paul Terrell Henry,
One love that conquers.
Tevin Eugene Crosby,
We are one.
and my son Antonio Devon Brown.
We are one.
Miguel Ángel Honorato, Geraldo Antonio Ortiz Jiménez,
On the darkest of days.
and my nephew Eric Iván Ortiz Rivera.
So rise to that day.
Mercedes Marisol Flores, Ilmari Rodríguez Soliván, Leroy Valentín Fernández,
I can't make it with
and my beloved sister Amanda Lisette Alvear.
we need each other to make it.
Enrique L. Ríos Jr.,
We are one hope,
Eddie Sotomayor Jr.
harmony, one light that shines,
y mi hermano Martín Benítez Torres.
hope that reaches destiny.
Alejandro Barrios Martínez,
One voice that speaks the sound,
Anthony Luis
one dream,
Laureano Dísela,
one love that conquers.
ese Franquillini de Jesús Velázquez, ese es.
Corey James Connell, Eddie Jamal Joy Justice, Darrell Roman Burt II,
Better for the tears
and my brother Jason Benjamin Josephat.
than the world's divide, united by our love.
Akira Monet Murray, Kimberly Jean Morris, Shane Evan Tomlinson, and my daughter Dianca Dee Drayton.
Brenda Marquez McCool, Juan Chávez Martínez, Javier Emanuel Serrano Rosado, my son Jerry Wright.
Peter Omi González Cruz, Giancarlo Nieves Rodríguez, mi hijo, mi estrella Luis Omar Ocasio Capó,
Ángel Candelario Padrón,
Luis Daniel Conde,
Juan Pablo Rivera Velázquez,
y mi primo y querido
sobrino
Luis Daniel Wilson León.
Dani,
Dani.
te queremos mucho. We love you.
I miss you, Dani.
Jonathan Camuy Vegas, Christopher Andrew Leinonen, Juan Ramón Guerrero y mi hermano querido Giancarlo Méndez Pérez, conocidos por toda nuestra familia y amistades como Jinky. Sabemos que te extrañamos demasiado, toda tu familia, especialmente tu madre, la cual siempre te comunicabas con ella. Estará siempre en nuestros corazones y pensamientos. Te amamos, Jinky. Sabes que te extrañamos siempre, y rest in peace para las personas también, todos los angelitos que murieron, que están con papá de hoy día. Y por eso es que quiero hacerle esta canción para unirnos más. Como los tiempos han cambiado, la gente sin corazón, el mundo está destrozado, el odio y la depresión, hay que unirnos más, que haya más felicidad. Vamos a reflexionar y que haya unión y paz. Los quiero. Rest in peace para todos los angelitos. Jinky, te extraño, te amamos. God bless you all. Thank you.
We close our 6-year Pulse Remembrance ceremony by introducing Ashley Rosa. Ashley is a performer and recording artist from Puerto Rico and spends her time singing with multiple ensembles in various recording studios. She joins us tonight to sing Color Esperanza. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Tus ojos con solo mirar, que estás cansado de andar y caminar, girando siempre en un lugar. Sé que las ventanas se pueden abrir, cambiar el aire depende de ti, te ayudará, vale la pena una vez más saber que se puede, querer que se pueda, quitarse los miedos, sacarlos afuera, pintarse la cara color esperanza, tentar al futuro con el corazón. Mejor perderse que nunca embarcar, mejor tentarse a dejar de intentar, aunque ya ves que no es tan fácil empezar. Sé que lo imposible se puede lograr, que la tristeza algún día se irá y así será, la vida cambia y cambiará, sentirás que el alma vuela por cantar una vez más, saber que se puede, querer que se pueda, quitarse los miedos, sacarlos afuera, pintarse la cara color esperanza, tentar al futuro con el corazón, saber que se puede, se pueda quitarse los miedos, sacarlos afuera, pintarse la cara color esperanza, tentar al futuro con el corazón. Vale más poder brillar que solo buscar ver el sol. Tentar al futuro con el corazón, saber que se puede, querer que se pueda, pintarse la cara color esperanza, tentar al futuro con el corazón.
Thank you, everybody. That concludes our service for tonight. Thank you, Ashley. That was wonderful. Good night.
Hello everyone. To the family members, there are handwrits to the left that each family member of the 49 can grab.